interesting. In there, it was utterly silent, and it's funny, when it becomes silent, you realize how loud everything is. It's different from doing it at home. If you do it in a group, it's just a whole new level. Try it for yourself.
This is how the day begins here in the temple.
In the morning. It's a bit early, isn't it? But this is the start of the day for most people in the temple. Most have gone to recite their sutras, but some are out in the kitchen making the meals for the day, breakfast, lunch and dinner. So I'm going to go see if I can go help them out.
Most of the temple's residents are nuns, also known as bhikkhunis. However, there's also a number of lay people here, most of whom work in the kitchen. They're here to 修行, which translates as cultivating oneself. Basically, it means to live in line with Buddhist principles and just generally be a good person.
Just gonna give you guys a bit of a disclaimer. I haven't cooked for about 7 years, so if there's a bit of extra ingredients in the food today, then you'll know where they've come from. 其实这种活在家里都自己不爱做的，这个跟修行有什么关系？
因为禅宗讲究日用之道，当你的内心都保持一个专注和平静的时候，你就是在修行了。
那比方说，咱们现在在切这个土豆的时候，应该在想什么呀？
应该什么都不想。
什么都不想。
想多了容易切手。
100%的注意力在放在切的这个过程上。
安住在某一个当下，这就是修行。
The point is, for Chan, self-cultivation isn't separate from normal life. You don't have to meditate in a cave like a hermit in order to reach enlightenment. In fact, it's said that many Chan masters achieved it while working in the kitchen.
Chan 菩萨主要是管饭菜的。为什么所有人觉得到寺院里的斋饭好吃的原因，就是有菩萨在加持。第二就是要有供养诸佛菩萨和供养大众的这个心。
One of Shengyue's duties is to decide the daily menu.
想这个，你要吃什么？我觉得是特别费脑子的，一定要搭配的颜色。再从那个就是说，它是比如说树上长的，还是地里长出来的，还是叶子菜，还是茎类菜。
All meals are taken communally in the canteen. And just like with meditation, eating also has its own set of rules. There's no talking and no wastage allowed. It's all meant to make you pay attention to what you're doing and gain insight about yourself.
Meals are always like that, always silent. You're supposed to be concentrating fully on your food, and obviously you've got to finish everything in your bowl. Quite an interesting way to eat, I think. Anyway, your bowl's always yours, you've got to clean up after yourself.
significant development in Buddhism after it arrived in China was that monks and nuns started working for a living. As an agricultural society, the Chinese have always believed in plowing their own fields, and the nuns of Caoshan Baoji Temple grow, harvest and prepare their own food. As a famous Chan master once said, a day without work is a day without food.
学学吧。
哎，好。那咱们一般种什么呀？
按照那个次第来种，该吃什么就按照那个资源规律来。
那很丰富的，其实。
是啊，为什么在这里是养生啊？这么拿出来吃就好。
哦。I don't think they're gonna get much use out of me today. 这哦，就斜着下去是吧？
斜的，斜的。反正你能吃的就吃嘛，是吧？好多祖师大德确实在那个干活里面成就的，他干活中他是光心的。 他没有说心在外面。现在我们在那个世间是吧，很污浊是吧？一下子一个声音来，那个声音我们那个哎就跟着声音走了，这个就定不住。
That's an interesting concept. I always thought doing chores like this, planting crops would be quite tiring, manual labor, but different ways of looking at it. So yeah, next time you got homework, you got a deadline, just remember that kind of mindset.
The point is to be fully present and aware of what you're doing without being distracted by anything. In other words, remain mindful. Which is easier said than done, especially if, like me, you're being swarmed by mosquitoes. But just like with cooking, we're doing this to serve everyone in the temple.
哎，还挺多。 够今天寺院用了吧？
够。
The Chinese believe it's important to cultivate both land and mind. One of the many Buddhist academies in China, this is the only one to teach traditional Chinese medicine. Today's class is acupuncture.
I've never had acupuncture before, so it's kind of frightening at the same time.
Acupuncture has been around for over 2,000 years and is a popular form of medical treatment in China.
筋拧一下。您现在上课上多久了呀？
我们都上了1年了。
哦，
快1年了。
这个课是报名的吗？还是就是都得学？
对，是自己自愿报名的。
最开头怎么对针灸有兴趣？
因为我们毕竟是出家人嘛，可以通过这样的方式呢去接引众生，去度化众生，也挺好的。
TCM doctors believe networks of qi, or life energy, flow through our bodies like arteries. When these get blocked, it causes us pain, so thin needles are inserted into these points to relieve the blockage.
其实我们针灸在治病的时候啊，其实并不是我们在治病，真正疗愈的其实是患者自己本身。
怎么讲？
因为你看这个气血这样嘛，对吧？那就生病。 那我就透过扎针啊、吃药，哎，它调整了，变成这样，你就好了。
In a way, TCM and Buddhism are pretty similar. They're both about restoring your original self.
没想到第一次上课就会体验了呀！
可以，
要进一下就进去。
嗷！
我是直接给他进去的。对。
嗷！
它为什么那么痛？就是因为它那个针只在皮肤上。
对，哈哈。
这是惊吓的。
Oh my god! It's like someone punched me in the tendon. It's alright. There's a slight stinging sensation. I can feel like some kind of weird feeling here. 这是麻，不是麻，但是有一种。
Alright, time for a slightly less painful lesson. We're heading out for art class.
It's funny, I mean, everyone here is a nun, bikini, but at the end of the day, they're still kids, aren't they? Kids will be kids.
大家跟他们打个招呼，跟大炮打个招呼。打招呼。看到大炮了吧？
Everyone's reason for coming here is different. Some of these children are orphans, while others have Buddhist parents. And while their schooling is definitely non-standard, there are many subjects in their curriculum that are the same as what kids would study on the outside.
This is great. I mean, art was my favorite class at school, and it's been almost 2 decades since then. But I think it's interesting in that, you know, everyone has to learn to appreciate their surroundings, see the beauty in their surroundings, and you know, it's not just about reciting scriptures and meditation and whatnot. There's a lot of real life stuff too.
For these nuns, the main goal isn't to become great artists. It's more about improving their skills of observation, so they're more aware of their environment and themselves.
出来玩玩，感受一下这种自然的气息是很好的。
对，但是带着咱们比丘尼、小比丘尼跟带着别的小孩还是不太一样的。
还是不一样，咱们师傅们都比较静，而且呢坐得住，这是他的特点。他们都能席地而坐，都能坐着。咱们要是这么大的岁数，实在小孩。 像坐，别说是超过半个小时，他们5分钟就待不了，
跑来跑去了，
就跑来跑去了。我是认为他们看这个自然啊，看这个景，他们会有一种比较静的心去发掘，都不赖，是吧？你看，对，这么小。
One of the most influential books on Zen in the West is Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. It tells us to approach every experience with a beginner's mind that's open and has no preconceptions, just like when we were children. Chan teaches us to be true to ourselves, to be less like an adult going around making assumptions about things, and more like a child, experiencing everything for the first time.
禅看不见摸不着，怎么能呈现？不是说永远是说不清道不明的，实际上是能说得清，能道得明，能感受得到的。这个斗笠碑亭亭玉立的感觉。如果你这样的话，它是一个素碑，那但是在影子下面呢，它别有洞天，这是一个就此。
By being mindful, you're better able to observe and find inspiration from your environment.
它给我们带来的留白的空间太。我特别喜欢一个树叫玉兰树，这就是玉兰花，
要是放一起，
是吧？哈，然后你看这个。这2个在一起，对，这块有一个腰身，实际上中途是鼓起来的，这么小的一个细节，这是大自然给我们的一个智慧。
I think it's interesting. A lot of people ask stuff like, "What is Zen?" I guess, you know, simplicity is key. A lot of good design is simple, but it's not basic. It's the essence of something made solid. If at one stage we find that one thing that we want to commit our lives to, through different forms of industry, we'll be able to tell the world how we feel. I think that's probably the key thing I took from today's lesson.
So we're going to go do something now that's called xingjiao, which loosely translates to cultivating one's foot, which basically just means that we're going to go out for a walk and we're going to contemplate stuff. I guess it's in silence, so I guess I'm going to be contemplating things, but I should probably go join them. It's a lot harder than it looks. You're supposed to swing your right arm a bit more than your left, but without moving your shoulders, which has the effect of making me walk like a robot. Quite pleasant, this stroll. A little bit weird that I have to kind of like be like that. Feels a little bit uncomfortable, but everything else is great. Listening to the bird songs, lots of fresh air, but concentrating on the line in the robe in front of me, like my eyes are kind of starting to water. It's quite hard. The silence I can deal with, the concentration, not so much. It takes some time to get used to, but this way of walking is pretty liberating. By being aware of how my body is moving, it feels like I'm learning to walk for the first time again. The act of walking itself becomes an experience. It's actually really fun. It's very refreshing. You're relaxed in a very energetic way, if that makes sense. But at the start, I was like this, and then afterwards, you know, I was trying to focus on my feet. Most of the time, we only walk with the heel and the ball of our feet, but I started walking with my toes as well, and it's a completely different feeling. 参禅的人行走叫行云流水。你看那个流水，它是没有断点的，是绵绵密密的啊，然后就一步套一步，一步套一步，是连贯起来。像音乐一样是。对。 Baoji Temple is over 1100 years old. The current structure has only been around for 5 years. It was那时候寺院是什么样的？
就是也是一片荒芜啊，什么都
已经没有了。没有了。
那个时候我们都好小的。 说实话，那个时候都是7、8岁的时候，就有日本人经常在拍照。
那他们过来干什么呀？
他们过去考察呀，找那个祖先呢，这个弟子在外面发展呢，肯定他的寻根问源呢什么。现在杨丽法师来了，就有一些改变了，是吗？我们起码走出去，看到了那个心境各方面就好多了，很舒心。
Stored, but its development has attracted many visitors, even a former Japanese Prime Minister. They include these Brits from the Cambridge Rivers Project, who are here on a cultural exchange.
Don't put the kind of medicine or whatever. Yes, don't.
As part of its outreach, the temple provides free medical checkups for local villagers and helps farmers package and sell their seasonal produce. The temple's goal is to improve the livelihood of everyone around.
Watermelon. It's crazy. They especially rich. And I just found so many things in China I wanted to paint. I felt like I was coming home and find my subjects.
That's interesting. How does it differ from the kind of Buddhism you see in India?
But in terms of traditional Indian Buddhism, you have very different types to very different schools. You have a form of Buddhism in which enlightenment can only be achieved by monks, and will take millions of years to
I don't think we'll get there in time.
In this monastery, I find it very different from the sorts of Buddhist monastery I've found before, because this is a very socially engaged Buddhism.
I'm just blown away by it, quite honestly. I think it's absolutely wonderful. It feels like a working temple.
For practitioners of Chan, there is no significant distinction between practice and daily life. You're always cultivating yourself. And you don't have to be a monk or a nun to do it either. Just always try to live fully in the present.
It's not so bad. I mean, everyone does chores around here, and over the last couple of days I've been asking people what Chan is, and I don't think I can give you a definite answer. I think it's a combination of simplicity, awareness and focus, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's sweeping floors or chopping vegetables or even walking. If you can get rid of all distractions, it allows you to be more mindful, and once you can do that, then you can find joy in anything you do. And I think that's the great thing about Chan.